It's time for the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters, an inside look at your teams in your city.
Welcome to the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters. It's Monday, August 12th, and I'm David Todd of ESPN Pittsburgh and Steelers Nation Radio with Mark Madden of 105.9 The X. Mark, what do you want to start with, Steelers or Pirates?
Well, let's go with Pirates because I think there's a panic out there because they lost 3 at Colorado.
I think there's a panic across the board in Pittsburgh this weekend. But, yeah, the Pirates.
No, the Steelers is a legitimate panic. You should be panicking about the Steelers, but we'll get to them in a second.
All right, so the Bucs lose 3 to Colorado. AJ and Francisco get lit up. They've had great seasons. Do you just write that off and say they had bad nights in Colorado, obviously a hitter's park?
Yeah, that's all you do. I mean, every team over 162 games, the truest test in professional sports, is going to have ups and downs. Now, it's inopportune to lose 3 straight to a bad team at Colorado when you're heading into St. Louis.
Yep.
You certainly break your own momentum, much like St. Louis had its momentum broken before they came to Pittsburgh and lost 4 out of 5 games not too long ago. But the Pirates are still in real good shape, still 3 games up in the division. I think the big worry is they have Pedro Alvarez has slumped badly since the All-Star break. Only 1 home run in almost 70 at-bats. So I think the Pirates do have some chinks in the armor, some cracks in the foundation, but nothing to worry about yet. The strange part is, though, David, this sweep comes at exactly the same time they started their collapse last year.
That's true, no doubt about it. And Mark, we've talked about Lambeau, we've talked about all the different things. I think Lambeau's coming out Friday. That's my bet. When the Pirates
I hope you're right,
home.
But I don't think so.
So we'll see what happens with him. Let me ask you this. First of all, I think Clint's done a good job this year. I think he's done an exceptionally good job with the bullpen. I first guessed yesterday that they should have had Marte pinch run for Neil Walker with 1 out because, A, he could possibly steal a base, B, if he hit a ball in the gap, he's going to score. They didn't. Leyva didn't waive him. Any thoughts on how the team's been managed this year in that situation in particular?
Clint Hurdle, Nick Leyva's incompetent. He's a terrible third base coach. He just is. Look at all the mistakes that have been made at third base over and over again. But in terms of Hurdle, he's a great manager for this team because he motivates. He really does keep this team focused over 162 games. The collapses the last 2 years, that's been because he made them overachieve for so long that they couldn't possibly keep overachieving anymore. Tactically, he's hit or miss.
Yes.
He's the kind of guy, he plays the percentages sometimes.
Right, he goes got half the time.
But he plays,
which means you got all the time.
Exactly right. If you're going percentages half the time, you're not going percentages at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're not giving them a chance to take over. So, he's only had 1 winning season in a decade of Major League managing. I'm not saying he's good or bad, but I'm saying that's a telling statistic. I think he's good for this team, but I think down the stretch, and if they make the playoffs, which I'm sure they will, we'll find out how good a manager he really is because in the postseason, every mistake gets magnified and discussed forever. I
think you're dead on point there, Mark, on the gut thing in particular. If you're using your gut half the time, you're using your gut all the time because you're deciding when and not when to play the percentage.
And he has a strange loyalty to like a Barmes. Barmes shouldn't be the shortstop. He's a better fielder than Mercer, but you've got such great pitching, you need some offense to back it up. And Mercer's not a butcher by any means. There's just some guys he likes to play. Barmes is one of those. He always likes to get McHenry his games when McHenry was healthy. I hate to say thankfully he's hurt because I don't wish that on anybody, but it's better he's not in the lineup.
It's a fair point.
And his insistence on sticking with what he got in right field, you got to at least give Andrew Lambeau a try. What's the worst case scenario? It's Travis Snyder.
Right. I think you get these 15 days between this coming Friday and September 1. You decide if he's your guy or not, and you ride him or you don't ride him. Might as well figure it out because, as you say, looks like they're going to make the playoffs. Not that winning the division isn't incredibly important, but you're not getting any production there. Let me ask you this. Last couple starts, Jeff Locke, not very good. Garrett Cole, questionable. Charlie Morton, a little bit better. Who instills the most confidence of those three right now to go out and win a game? And if you were going to set your pitching rotation for a 5-game series, who's your number 3 starter if you're doing it today?
Well, a better question might be, in the postseason you go to a 4-man rotation because of the travel days. Who would they drop?
Well, you might drop 2. If you get it sorted out enough, you could even drop 2. But give me game 3 first.
My game 3 starter would still be Locke. Right now, right this second, because he's done so well for so long. Then again, I really like the way Morton's pitched lately.
Last game was great.
I think they think Garrett Cole's pitched too much. I think they're worried about his arm.
Sounds like they're going to maybe skip him this time through.
Yes,
we know.
Yes, that's why I say that. So they're thinking about, the wear and tear on him, certainly. Then I'm going to look at Strasburg. They pulled him out last year, the Nationals. This year he comes back. He's a lot less than he was. Maybe that hurt more than helped. But I think that the third starter right now would be Locke, but I think it might trickle back to Morton. The way they're pitching right now, it might end up being Morton.
So you're putting Cole in the pen in the playoffs. He's a guy who can be useful out of the pen. The other two, not so much. Power arm, come in and get a guy. I think by the time the playoffs roll around, Locke might be the guy that's out of the rotation. He's pitching a little bit worse every time. Maybe he'll regroup, maybe he won't. What about Wandy Rodriguez? Wandy, some encouraging signs, if you believe that. I'm not sure I do, but some encouraging signs. You got to get him back in the rotation if he's available. Yeah, if you listen to me, I think both Grilly and Wandy, long shots to make it back. Sounds like Grilly a little more likely.
Well, I think they're very long shots, both. I'm just playing the what-if game.
He's got for him to get in the rotation, you'd have to give me at least a couple starts before September. Obviously, you can't just roll him out in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
All right, Mark.
And a couple starts we look pretty good.
Right. You got to pitch well. Okay, Mark. The Steelers Saturday night. You didn't get to watch it live, unfortunately, because
I watched it on the DVR, which was worse because when you knock out the commercials and knock out the time between plays, boy, does the crap stack up, David.
It felt like work.
Yeah, no, it was work, no doubt on that. And for Steeler Nation out there, here's my prediction. Very early days, of course. There are two things wrong with the team. One is they're very poorly coached. The second is they stink. So if they can just get past those two obstacles, I think it could be a very productive season.
All right, let's. The starters didn't get much time. The one guy we were talking about, first of all, the guy that everybody wanted to see, was most excited, the biggest build-up out of camp, Le'Veon Bell, didn't play. Okay, so you go from there. Rod Stevens-Howling, you pointed out, that's the one guy that maybe impressed you a little bit.
Yeah, but what he's going to be, best-case scenario, David, is a really good Chris Rainey.
Which is useful.
No. Very useful, but like people saying, well, you could start this Stevens-Howling. He can't even get on the big kid's rise at Kennywood for crying out loud. He is what he is, and he's very good at that, and he was a good acquisition. But to act as if he's any kind of answer beyond, what he is because of his size and because of what he can and can't do, that's a bit ludicrous too.
All right, so the starters, the offense, on the offensive side, they get about 20 snaps. The longest play from scrimmage for the team was 14 yards. But the first team offense did drive the ball the second time down the field. Bend to AB, didn't get both feet down. They looked okay. The running game, the offensive line looked all right. I thought the right side with Gilbert and DeCastro did well. As you say, Steven Sally's got some yards behind him. So you got that. We don't have not a big sample size. The second team offensive line, holy cow.
Yeah, just terrible. But no surprise, they're terrible on paper as well.
Right. And here, my takeaway from the game was, Mark, everything we saw in camp was what we saw in the game. The guys who were good in camp were generally pretty good in the game. The guys who stunk.
That's usually how it is.
The wheat and the chaff, man, it's easily sifted on this team.
Well, what bothered me the most about the game was 7 penalties, 3 grievous special teams errors. And you might say, well, that wasn't the first team, but you know what? A lot of the special teams guys will be out there on special teams.
Yes, that's fair.
And if the guys trying desperately to make the team are making mistakes like that in situations that could deprive them of their jobs, what's that say about the trickle-down of discipline throughout the whole team and the fear or lack thereof the coaching staff instills?
The only thing I'll give a hall pass on is the errors of commission versus omission. If you're a punt returner or you're a kick returner, you don't get chances. So you look, Gilreath should have fair caught both balls. He should have let the first one go.
That's a real good point. That's valid.
And he should have fair caught the second one. He wants to impress. The kick returners, the guys did it well, but I mean, you could see 9 yards deep in the end zone. They're like, I'm coming. I mean, this is my time to shine. So, but the other stuff, I'm with you on.
Well, like the penalty on the punt, and then the punt gets blocked. Come on.
I mean, Damon Cromartie-Smith is a special teams player. That's how he's making his team. He has no practice squad eligibility left. Whiffed on a block, that's as bad as it gets.
I got to be honest. If this team was as disciplined as it likes to pretend it is, Cromartie-Smith would be out in the first cuts because that's his. No, I'm serious. I mean, one thing Mike Tomlin never does is shoot a hostage. He's buddy-buddy. It's always, well, we believe in second chances around here, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's the one thing that guy has to do to impress in the first exhibition game, and he whiffed. He whiffed on his guy.
He did. He missed it completely. There were a lot. I thought on the second team defense, now against a second team offense, so clear about that. I thought a lot of guys impressed. A lot of the backup inside linebackers, which I thought was a really weak position. Thought a lot of guys did really well. One guy, Mark, who good for him, Alameda Ta'amu. at nose tackle with the second team. He's a guy who embarrassed himself and embarrassed the team last year. He got given a second opportunity. He didn't do anything in camp up to this point. He actually played a reasonably good game.
Yeah, he's a talent. I don't think anybody's ever doubted that. And he is the mold of the nose tackle the Steelers prefer. But, can he stay out of the drunk tank? I mean, that's a big if for this guy. I'll tell you the thing that summed up the game for me. Special teams play. I believe Marcus Wheaton ran into Stevenson Sylvester.
Yeah, but you're right. Friendly fire.
And he gets hurt. He's off already.
Friendly fire.
How brittle is that guy? He is hurt all the time.
He is. And he's got to be. A lot of guys aren't on the field right now who need to be on the field to make the team. Give me one other guy who maybe impressed you a little bit. Any of the rookies?
Jarvis Jones.
Yeah.
He looked like he had presence out there. He got that fumble, which is, a little that's a little bit luck, a little bit,
sure.
But he looked very good. And, everybody says, well, Jason World shouldn't start, and they should get Jarvis Jones in there. It is a tough transition at that position for rookie in the NFL. However, I know in my heart that Jason Worlds will be hurt before we know it, and then Jarvis Jones will have to play. That's not even worth worrying about because he always gets hurt. Double S always gets hurt. Some of these guys, boy, I know they're gutless or brittle or they just need a different doctor, but they're always hurt.
He's Mark Madden, 105.9 The X in the afternoon. I'm David Todd, ESPN Pittsburgh, 4 to 7 in Steelers Nation Radio. This is the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters. Thanks for watching.
I'll be lining up at the DMV later and getting the cut in line.